morning. Good morning. Bill Davis, Ancestry Lands, ancestrylands.com. How are you folks? How's everybody doing today? Folks, I hope you're having a wonderful week. I hope you're being challenged in life. I hope you're being challenged to extend yourself beyond your current self. You know, we talk often about people evolving and becoming something greater than themselves. I'm going to always touch on that because, again, a lot of people are walking around without any meaning or fulfillment in life. They're filling their lives with things to take up their time, their day. They're filling up their time with activities and other things because they're not at peace with themselves. They're not at peace at home. One of the things I experienced when I was younger was always asking myself, you know, you have an apartment or a home, you spend 8 hours sleeping, if you sleep. You spend another 8 hours going to work, minus the commute. I mean, you know, you got to obviously do that commute, so that can be a few more hours if you add on to that. So that gives you, what, about maybe 9-10 hours, you know, being out because you got to get ready for work too as well. And that leaves you with the less than 8 hours remaining in the day to dwell at your home. You know, you got to get groceries, things like that. So you're essentially paying for a domicile that you stay maybe 30%, a third of the time in, if that. You know, the number gets smaller and smaller the more time you're away. And when you do get a chance to be off, the first thing you gotta do is walk right outside the door, fill your time with something else. And I always wonder, you know, they call people homebodies, and people like to be home, but, you know, I ask, are those people at peace with themselves? Are they at peace with their lives and their schedule, that they don't always need the world in order to feel fulfilled? Let me repeat that one more time. Are they at peace because they do not require the world in order to be fulfilled? It's not a requirement for them. They're okay with just interacting with the world when they have to, but they don't need to or want to outside of, you know, their casual interactions through grocery store shopping or work or school. And outside of that, they find some solace in the fact that they're home. They're in their own place, you know. I mean, most animals have a nest, have a den, some dwelling. You know, even lions live on an open plains, but they like to be in one or particular area. You know, not few animals are nomadic in nature. And most animals will stay at a place or a location so long as food and provisions and shelter are there. Animals necessarily will not leave only because just due to the sole reason of predators, the danger of predators, you know, through, you know, apex predators talking about. They won't leave for that reason because the resources are abundant. We talk about that often too as well. A resource abundant area. I mean, the secret lies in nature if you think about it. Nature provides you with many clues on how to be successful. Being in a resource abundant, rich area allows you to, you know, grow strong, or food is plentiful instead of scarcity. And it creates a mindset of abundance that is there. Here we go with another Tesla person just screeching up ahead. You got a Tesla, great. You own the world because you're electric, right? Got it, okay, all right. Just go on ahead. That's what I'm saying. I mean, this might be the same Tesla person from yesterday. When you're driving to work, you're often going to encounter maybe vehicles that look familiar. They probably are because you're seeing them day in and day out. You'll see that from time to time. But I also ask you folks, are you aware of your surroundings? In life, are you aware of what's around you? Who's around you? A lot of people going to work and they driving, they get that tunnel vision. You know, when you're in life, you get tunnel vision in life. You are just focused on going to work that day, not looking at your life from a grand scale, from a global view. not a micro view. Micro meaning that you're looking at the day, what you got to do and accomplish, but you're not seeing where you're headed at in life. Are you headed towards the destination that you set off initially? You look at Christopher Columbus, who, they say discovered America, because we know that's a lie. But again, when he left for, what was that, Asia or India, depends on which source you read, he thought he was sailing towards the right place, but ended up being lost on his journey and discovered a new place, which ended up being Hispaniola, somewhere down in the Caribbeans. I believe that is modern day Dominican Republic, if I remember history, true history to some degree. So I'm going to ask you folks again, when you set out to become a parent, when you set out in a marriage, 5 years later, 10 years later, are you still headed in the right direction? Have you thought to check? Have you thought to look? I was speaking to a nurse the other day, and again, I love that I work in a field such as nursing, because it allows you to interact with high-level intellectual people. Not saying that they're better than you, but it really brings down to earth the sense that people who are paid well aren't necessarily smart. Just because they specialize in being intelligent in their modality does not mean that they are smart in life. But often we look at these people as leaders or guidelines, like you can listen to a nurse about nursing all day and they know their stuff. True indeed. But when it comes to outside of the stethoscope, outside of the clinic, the hospital, their lives don't reflect the intelligence that they got a degree for. It doesn't. The two never or rarely match up. Thank you for this truck. See this truck over here? He got over as we're merging. Smart guy. Thank you. You rarely see that. People equate a good degree to a successful life, and that is so much further from the truth. A degree does not imply you're successful, because you're not aware of your surroundings. You're not aware of the world that you will live in, the world that you will play in, compete in. Is a competitive world where now we have not only other competitive adults who are either more experienced than you, more competitive. You also have to deal with the fact that AI is now replacing jobs that were always reserved for someone with skill in technical specialty. You have AI replacing movies being produced. You can now, these prompts in just a short year, AI can now give you a series of video clips. I think Tyler Perry, the TV producer down in Georgia, he was expanding to a point to create this great big studio, and you find that now AI is able to fill in a lot of gaps which would be reserved for humans. And as a year or two from now, AI will get better at delivering content, delivering live content or action-based content, motion-based content, that you at some point may see someone be able to create a movie out of just using AI prompts alone. Mark my words, it'll happen. And that means an entire industry of actors, crewmen, special effects people. It may come at a point where all of that is no longer needed. And again, you can start to see the kind of, as this becomes siloed in a way, the question is, what is left for the rest of the humans that are here? And again, I try to bring some kind of heads up, canary in the coal mine, that people say we need to do away with AI or we need to be mindful of that. AI is always going to need, and again, we keep getting into these matrix-like conversations. As AI expands, AI is still going to need, unless it gets to the point of a Cyberdyne, in the movie The Terminator, where it's self-sufficient, it's still going to need servants or operators or slaves to run the system, to feed the prompts, to feed the information. AI needs to be useful to humans, so the owner-operators or servants or slaves to the AI, their productivity will be based upon the usability or accessibility to the people that consume the products, use the services, or have the information. Because again, people are going to they're going to need a reason to consume. They're going to need a reason to utilize AI that's going to work into their lives better. But again, at the question of what cost, what is the cost going to be? Because imagine with Tyler Perry, he's going to go into AI to save himself money, and it will enrich those who are already wealthy. And so long as there is a consumption class, so longer there are people to consume, there will be people who can produce. So the one thing, like I always talk to my kids about, is I'm training them to be producers, not consumers. You consume the necessities in your life, but you need to produce necessity for others. Like land ownership, like leverage. Like owning land is a form of leveraging for your financial consumptions in life. And the fact that you can offload a property, sell a property later to give yourself an in-cash infusion that otherwise you would have to trade hours for dollars for, right? You'd have to give up some of your life for that, in the sense of you would have to work 8 to 12 to 10 hours to gain X amount of dollars that you could on land that you bought, appreciated in value, and sold at a later date. When you're allowed to make payments, and by the time you end up paying off the property is worth more than what you bought it for, that the same day that you now claim ownership of the actual land, that's an asset. Not only that, if a house sits there with no renters, a house becomes a debt, a liability, even if that mortgage is paid off. Because again, house needs maintenance. Even if you sit a house in there, the house will wear down in some form of fashion because it will just age. Land doesn't age. There's a utility in land, even when land is vacant, because land can be used to farm. Land can be used for agriculture. It can be used for storage. It can be used for parking. It can be used for weekend getaways to generate income. It can be used for glamping, which is a form of camping. It's very popular these days. It's like a more of a camping type hotel feel, where you don't actually need to put hard structures all around, permanent structures. You can actually change up and put temporary dwellings, and all you need is just the base infrastructure, the construction, the plumbing, to meet the necessities of the people staying there. Well, do you need to do that much? Probably not, because you could have different levels that you offer at. You could have, in a 2-acre property, you could have areas where there is, kind of the rough shot RV, where people just need access to water and a place to dump sewage, which could be done by holding tanks and, septic holders, waste holders, because, we form waste. So it allows you to make income while utilizing the land. And it could have a turnover of people using it month to month, depending on how your business model is set up. So again, I'm going to ask you, in the sense of, are people prepared for what's to come? Are they prepared to adopt and adapt to the change that is coming? Because more and more you need to learn how to become a producer in life and less of a consumer. A lot of times it's like, and again, I love women, in the sense of, I like femininity, but again, a male rapper celebrity is a much cheaper product to maintain than it is a female, because they've got to have hair, nails, makeup. The costs are far more extensive because of the consumption that is involved with being a feminine woman. It's consuming because it's a maintenance. And I don't say that to be disparaging. It is just what it is. I mean, a man pretty much needs a blade to shave and something to cut his hair, and maybe some deodorant, lotion, And it's very little you need out of that. Men just don't wear makeup. Men don't need to curl or press their hair in the same way. And please don't give me outlier examples. The maintenance needs to maintain some level of beauty, even for a man, beauty standards, it's minimal, very minimal comparatively. It does not require the same level of consumption as it does for maybe a woman. So with that, you need to learn how to become less of a consumer in life and more of a producer, more of a person that produces the necessities for others. So that way you too can position yourself in this world, in this economy, in this evolution that we are moving towards, where AI or your baseline competition, your competition that never sleeps, that competition will always be working against you, looking to take from you, looking to take from your legacy, looking to take from your future, your retirement, in the form of inflation, in the form of excess costs. Because as AI is making the world better, why do things still cost so much? Make no mistake, when AI becomes fully functional to the point where it also produces product, we're still going to be paying high market price, even though the human labor, the paid labor is not going to be there. It's still going to be for profit. So AI is not going to make things cheaper. They're actually going to make the price, more increase. It's going to be more expensive. Because AI is not operating on a moral compass. It's not operating with some moral basis, some moral dialogue. It has no religious foundation involved. It's not operating on a basis of morality. So, again, when people threw away God because they wanted their own personal freedom, you're going to see what happens when AI, who will not have the same level of morality, and this lady's going to try to get over, she's going to be coming over on my right. She's going to try to get over without getting everyone else killed, and I'm going to follow right with her. So any which way, AI will not have the morality that you seek in times when you need it, when you need help, when you need services, when you need goods, when you need social programs. When AI is running the show, those things will not be considered because AI is not moving off of a moral compass. It will move off of what is efficient, what is logical, what is pragmatic. Will not care about your child being white, black, Puerto Rican, Spanish, yellow. It won't care about racial divisions or lines like that. It's going to make the hard cuts that humans will not do. It will not have humanity involved. And what you see is the humanless people, the people who lack humanity and moral compasses, are its administrators, its operators, its facilitators, because they are looking for AI to serve them, to enrich them. Because they are not creating it out of necessity, they're creating it out of greed. It will make things better, but again, when flying planes come or flying helicopters, when things come, it is always the elite who benefit from it first. It is only when they're done having their fill, it will actually be available to the common folk, because the newer technology will make it either obsolete or they found a more efficient way that they moved on to. A new novella, a novelty item that is going to satisfy new levels of greed. I mean, hell, they're trying to militarize space at this point, and it'll go further and further. And once they're done consuming this planet and it has nothing else to offer, we'll be looking at something like that movie Avatar, where we'll look at other planets to colonize, to use those resources. And they will always be siphoned to the elite first. So again, you got people giving up in this economy, giving up in this world because they feel there's no hope, because they've lost the will to fight. I'm driving here and I see all this cars, all this traffic filling into a city with people who operate the city, and they have not improved. These roads are not improved. It takes so long to build roads, to get efficient roads that don't have potholes. We haven't come up with any technologies that's dealt with weather conditions, with the roads breaking down. You put people to do the roads, and it takes the longest amount of time. It could be years before a road gets fixed, before a new lane in the highway gets fixed. Because as humans, we're not efficient. Because again, you know, making overtime matters more than fixing the road. The standard of a project taking 15 to 24 months means that people got to drive, and it creates, again, it's overtime for the company, but it sucks for the actual layperson, the human person trying to get through the job. Humanity has not become more efficient. We found ways to get fatter off the land without squeezing more out of the pulp. Trying to squeeze the juice out of the pulp. As we enter the city of Philadelphia, you can see it in the skyline in the backdrop. So what do you do with all of this? All this doom and gloom, Phil, what are you doing? You're telling us all the things that are bad about the world. What happens next? How do we fix this? How do we fix this? First, you arm yourself with knowledge. That's the first thing you're doing. If you're watching this far, you're doing the first thing that matters. You're arming yourself with knowledge to prepare yourself for what's to come. That's what you do. I told you before, the greatest power on this planet is the power of influence. Are you influential? Can you affect your environment? Can you affect, not infect, affect your environment and the world around you? Lady, would you pull up? You got 14 different cars in front of you. And you got 5 miles of space. You're braking now. Why? Can you influence the environment around you? Do you have the ability to make changes and it affect beyond yourself in a positive way? You might say, Phil, well, what does that mean? Again, I've sponsored events. Ancestry Lands has sponsored soca artists up in New York. Seen the videos, we've done the shows. And that artist is now going on in greater heights, not because of me, but also because of the influence, the ability to build a relationship and get a sponsorship to help Ancestry Lands help pay for a stage for them to perform on. Shout out to Anika Berry. I've done posts and video on my Facebook account about how I'm meeting them. Ransom Entertainment, shout out to you all and your success. We've sponsored other events like the Melanin Market to show black businesses that land ownership is possible. Although we got a lot of applause, we didn't get a lot of takers because, again, Jordans were on sale. You know, sneakers, cell phones, things that are not assets. And I'll say this to the other ethnic groups and cultures out there. You look at blacks or African Americans, and you look at us and you say, well, you know, those people there, what's being done is a template, a format. And again, it's not color-based, it's wealth-based. People that are high up don't care about color. They look at the division of us versus them, us being the people who have and the people who do not have. It's all about power dynamics. Who are the leaders? Are you able to lead? And that is not a color filter that's done by that. That's what it's meant for us to think. Because again, yesterday I talked about that division. When you're playing chess, or you're being a strategist and you're looking to divide people, the more you can divide them, the more you can gain control, because now you're able to isolate people who would normally band up and get together because they do not trust each other. And when one gains power and you want them to kind of go down a notch, you apply the template that you did with one group or race or ethnic culture like African Americans, and you do it with the next group. Slaves were brought in by ship. Now they walk over through the border. Now they come by mountain. Think about that. Slaves and the undertow of society, or the people who were looking to erase hardships, they were brought by ship once a time. Now they walk in, they try to walk in freely. They come by mountain now, through the southern border, northern border too. They walk in here willingly to try to get to replace the former servant population that once founded this country, because a new founding needs to happen. They talked about the Great Reset. A new foundation is happening, a technological foundation, and you need people to serve the system. Because the old servants are aging out. African Americans are no longer the same servants they used to be for this country. As you've seen statues taken down, and there's a discovery of hidden history. So now you've got to bring another group in. And what did they try to do with them? Now, and again, they said 7,000% in Asians. Boy, I just talked about this the other day. I saw this on the news. I just saw it last night, 7,000% Asians coming over through the border from China. New people are filling into this country each day. And that is to build the new foundations from the old one. A new floor has to be created, a new upper level. What was once the penthouse now needs to be a new penthouse needs to be made, because again, the billionaires and elites now that are in this generation, they want a new room. They want a room that's theirs. They want something else to own than what was previously owned. And where does that leave you? Consuming. Because you have not found a way to produce in your life. You've not found a way to create opportunities or necessities for other people. You're not being useful to the group. You're not building your network. You're not finding ways to connect with people in different areas to bring other people together. People don't reach out to you for deals or money-making opportunities or for access to assets. You don't even gotta own everything. You just need to be connected to the right people to bring people together. To connect this person to that, connect A to C because you're B. And again, there's also the other level of having things that are like assets that people can respect and hold you in great value and position because of your asset, your ownership. They can look to you for guidance. That's where you get consultants at. Gurus, if you will. Experts, if you will. When you become an author, you become somewhat of an authority. A person people look to for knowledge. I mean, heck, if I wanted to write a children's book, I would look to Dr. Seuss. I wouldn't pass Dr. Seuss and not ask him how to write a children's book. You become a person that people seek out for the knowledge you hold. Because what's in your mind, or your ability to speak, enunciate, literate yourself, your form of literacy, your style. So you can offer great value and service because, again, you now can do consulting fees like I pay for. Your ability to proofread, understand proper grammar. I paid an editor $5,000 to make sure my book was well written and easy to read. $5K. And I had to do most of the corrections. All they had to do was read and tell me where I should have had a comma. I could have saved myself $5,000 by paying attention better in school. You know, and I say that facetiously. I still would have had to do a lot on my own. You know, the editor, you still need an editor because sometimes they understand how to form, you know, certain ideas need to go here. There needs to be a flow because they understand how the mind consumes knowledge. So they understand, they are the architects of structural knowledge, how to structure knowledge in a way so that a person can receive knowledge and understand it, find it palatable, recommend it. There are many things you can do in the world. Even educators, you're educating. But again, I have private tutors for my children because their knowledge outside of the classroom creates a necessity for me to have it accessible to my children. When your children are having problems on the test, they fail or get the grade they get. My children, when we know there's a test up, we get the subject content of the test and we prep them for the test. Yes, at 7 and 9, they get test prep. so they can have successful outcomes because they meet with the tutor before the test happens and discover or go over the content. And that means that when they get 2, 3 wrong or 100%, we've maximized their risk, the minimum risk part, meaning that if they get 2 wrong, they could have gotten 5 wrong, and that could change between an A, a B, or C. Well, you keep on doing this in life, you get an A student, they get access to different colleges because of their grades. The secrets of the wealthy, man. You got to pay for that. So again, I've taken the price of a few Jordans and put that into private tutoring for my children, and you've seen the videos of that. Doesn't mean I'm better, but where I spend my dollar matters. When I go to consume, it is to produce. When you consume, it is to consume, and there's nothing left. So then you got to move on to the next point. Because even to consume, it requires energy. To consume food, you still have to have the energy to buy the food in the form of money. Right? It's not just you can consume and consume and consume and that's it. To consume, you need to have energy. You need to have something in order to consume. In order to have food, you need to have money. To have better consumption, you need to have more energy or better energy, more money. The more money you have, the better your consumption can be. And how do you get money? Well, you get money through what? Working or producing. Not consuming, producing. So you got to figure that out. Do you spend your time watching videos like this, learning about land? Have you gone on Amazon to get my book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing, where you can consume knowledge? If you don't like to read, then why are you not watching these videos over and over again, getting these life lessons? Training your mind to consume knowledge in order to learn how to produce. Why are you not following my example of what I'm doing to get similar or the same results? To arm yourself and arm your children for a future you and I have not existed in. Why are you training yourself to be owned as property? Because you do not own property in the form of vacant land. You don't have any leverage. There's no fallback for you. There's no plan B. So I say to you folks, it's time to build leverage. How do you build leverage? Be a producer, not a consumer. Teach your children to become producers. Create a generational legacy of producers. People that produce, that have a plan, that aren't thinking just 5 years out. You need to think longer than that, because again, if you can only think 5 years out or less, how are you really preparing for retirement? You're right. You're going to wait till you get there to figure it out. That's what they do. And again, that's what they're counting on. They're counting on you to wait till you get there to figure it out, because they know you won't have it figured out because you've been practicing trying to figure it out. You've been spending all your life trying to figure it out and never solve for why. You never solved. You just try to figure it out still. You never thought to solve for anything. Because you're not solution oriented at all. So I say again, folks, as we are in the heart of Philadelphia here, this building right here in front to this brick building here on the left. It's actually a post office. Look at this government building here, huh? Any which way, folks, Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, AncestryLands.com. I look at the video quality. Video quality is so much better. We're making changes, we're growing, we're trying to evolve, folks. Any which way. Ancestry Lands, AncestryLands.com, folks. And remember, you're either going to own property or be owned as property, folks. Go online to Amazon and get my book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing. Make sure you get on to ancestrylands.com to get yourself property. Remember, you're either going to own property or be owned as property. Phil Davis, and I'm out.
Are you confused with today's real estate market? With high interest rates and overpriced housing, it can be hard to find something to own at the right price. Available on Amazon, Getting Dollars from Dirt by author Philip H. Davis is a game-changing book that invites you to embark on a thrilling exploration of this often overlooked asset class. This book is your roadmap to unlocking the secrets of vacant land investment. Inside these pages, you will uncover the transformative power of vacant land as a wealth-building tool. Discover how to spot promising properties, assess their true value, and capitalize on market trends. From understanding zoning and permits to leveraging financing strategies, you will gain the knowledge and confidence to make savvy investment decisions. With each page you turn, you will gain a deeper understanding of the profound impact your investments can have on the world around you. Getting Dollars from Dirt is not just a guidebook, it's a call to action. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a curious novice, this book will empower you to tap into the immense potential of vacant land and embark on a journey toward financial freedom and a brighter future.